Hi everyone. If you're a business owner, you know that just having products and services are not enough. Because chances are there are a lot of competitors who are doing something similar and possibly something even cheaper. So you need that little bit extra to stand out. And that is your brand, and that is your brand story. And by brand, I don't mean a logo. I mean a brand strategy, defining what your brand stands for, and that story that helps you connect to your audience. But in this video, we will look at more about how you create that brand story in 3 simple steps. Well, not simple, but at least there are 3 organized steps. Hi everyone, my name is Poulomi and I help you create brand strategy, design and content that helps you grow your business. The first one is you define the story. You define your brand strategy and what you stand for and who your audience is and how you help them. The secondly is you design your brand identity to bring that brand story to life through visuals and look and feel. And the third one is you craft the messaging to share that brand story with your audience. Well, the first part, the definition, the defining the brand story is a little bit more internal. The design, the identity, and the messaging is what your audience sees. So that's the more crucial part, but you cannot do that if you don't define it first. So let's dive in. How do you define a brand story? Before we get started, just a quick heads up that if you want to download a free guide on how to create a brand story, there is a link in the description. So it has all the steps in detail. It is a PDF with worksheets, so you can just fill it up and that's how you get started at least, right, on creating the story. But now to continue. Brand story, how do you define it? So the first one is market understanding. Now, this kind of research of the market you've probably even done before you started a business. But in this one, you do it very minutely compared to your competition. Like, what's a gap you fill in the market, right? Where do you stand vis-a-vis your competition? Who's the audience? What does your competition do for them? What do you do for them? How are you different? Etc., etc. The second is, and this is where it gets very specific, to nail down your audience as a person, not just an age group or demographic, an income range, a gender, etc., but really to understand what their challenges are, what their pain points are, who they are as people, what kind of stuff do they like to read, which kind of social media do they want to hang out on. So just really understand them as people so that you can better address how you help them. Now that you know that, the third one is your brand purpose. And this is where your brand story and your definition really starts, because the purpose is why you created your business. Now that you know who your audience is, let's start defining who you are and why you started your business. Of course, you did it to earn money, but there is something beyond that as well. You wanted to help people. You wanted to address a problem and you wanted to provide a solution. So why did you start that business? Why did you launch it? That is your brand purpose. And that is something that a lot of people can connect to as well, because, everyone wants to be of value in some way. So they connect to you if they realize that you also had a purpose to launch your business beyond just money. Then we come to the mission statement. So now that you know why you launched your business, it's more about defining 3 specific things. Who do you help? What kind of value do you provide? And how do you provide that value? What offers do you have, right? What kind of products and services? I help this people in this way with this thing, right? That's a very specific mission statement, but that helps your audience understand you and connect to you. And it also helps you to decide, take business decisions like, should I do this? Does it really, talk to my mission, or doesn't it make sense, right? So that's a mission. Then you define the vision, which is where do you want to go? Everyone has a goal, and your vision can be business oriented as well, that you want to become the number one business, the number one company doing, etc., right? But if you become the number one, how does it have an effect on people? So while you talk about your goal, the effect you have, the impact you have on the world is also important. Putting that together is the vision. So now we have your purpose, why you started, your mission, what is the exact way that you help people, what you provide, and then where do you want to go with this mission? Then we have one which is extremely important, which is the differentiation, right? Which is your unique value proposition or your positioning statement. How are you different from them? You want to do all of this, you launch this, you want to provide this, you want to go there, but what makes you different from ABC? That is what connects a lot of your audience to you as well. It can be one thing or a combination of things, but you have to showcase your differentiation in some way. Then we come to a little softer thing, which is the brand personality. Now, if you are, a person, you have a personality, and the same thing is if you're a business, if you are a brand. Are you fun, humorous? Are you serious, professional? Are you a mix of both? Are you cheeky? Are you corporate? There, in different industries, brands tend to have a certain kind of personality. Like if you see banks, it's talking all about money and investments and people's lives in a way, right? So hospitals, banks, they tend to be a little bit more serious, whereas, you can have entertainment companies or lifestyle companies, which are a little bit more light, engaging, fun, humorous, cheeky, etc. It can be a combination of a few things as well. So define that personality, because that will define how you create all your brand messaging. All your content, all your social media will depend on how your personality is and what adjectives you use to define yourself. And the last one is your brand values. So on the surface, it may not seem like a lot, because as a business, it's like, who cares about values? But then these horror stories about brands who use, child labor, victimized people in Asia somewhere, manufacturing stuff for them. And then people like, no, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to give you money. I don't want to encourage your business. So I'm not going to buy from you. A lot of brands are incorporating sustainability in their values and their brand values, because it's like, hey, I'm going to buy from you, but what impact does that have on the environment, right? What are you doing to ensure that the planet is not destroyed while you operate your business? So values become very important as well. So these are the core things that you need to define in your story before you start creating your logo and your colors and your messaging. And that's what we will go into in the next step. So the next step is design your brand identity. I know it's very common to start to have a business and then jump into designing the brand identity before you even do your brand defining stage. But that is usually a mistake, because you want your brand to, your colors, your logo, your design, your everything to, visually represent your brand perfectly. So unless you know what it stands for, you cannot do that design. So it's not just design, it's strategic brand design. There are usually 4 elements of brand identity design. The first is your brand name, but that is something that you probably already create at the business stage, unless you're doing a brand and design from scratch. The second is all your visual elements, which includes your logo, your designs, your colors, your stationery, your packaging, your store, your retail design, your signages, your PowerPoint templates, everything. The steps here is, the first step is to create the logo. Once you create the logo, you know that the colors that you're going to use in the logo, and that is your color palette. And then you add your additional colors to it, which you need for your online messaging. And then you create the entire color palette, and you take that and you design all the other elements that you need to represent your brand. Now, why is this step important to create after you define your brand story? Is because it depends, as we said, if your personality is fun and cheeky, you design your brand in a different way, because your visuals bring that story to life. If your mission is, all about nature, and your brand is all about nature and everything, then you design your colors and your identity in a specific way. So it's always important to start with the definition of the story and then design the visual elements that fit it. The third element here is tone of voice. How do you speak, right? How do you talk? What is your, how do you talk to your customers? How do you talk to within internally in your business? How do you talk to your audience? How do you talk to your stakeholders? So it's your tone of voice, and that is important. It is not a visual element, but it is a big part of your brand identity. And the last one is your customer experience. So define how you want to, treat your customers and how you want your support system to be, because it's not just, getting your audience to convert to customers, but it's having such a great experience that your customers also stay with you. And in both aspects, in terms of converting your audience to customers and then having, making your customers your loyal fans, there has to be a beautiful experience that your customers and audience expects from you. And that's the reason they buy from you. So define that in the brand identity stage as well, because that's where they fit in. Because brand identity, again, is not just visual identity. It's a lot of different things. The third part is creating the brand message. Before we go into details of that, I know that this is a lot to take in. So if you want like a step-by-step guide to create your brand story, there is a link in the description. It's a free guide, just feel free to download it. And it's a worksheet and templates as well. So just feel free to customize it to yourself and build your brand story. So the brand message. Now that you've defined what your brand stands for and designed an identity, then now you move to the messaging part. So the messaging is essentially what you tell your customer or your audience. The most important message that you can create is your brand promise. It is basically looking your audience in the eye and telling them, this is what I give you every single time. This is what I offer. This is what you can expect from me every time that you interact with me. And usually it is in the form of the value that you deliver. But this value is split into two parts. It's a functional benefit and it's an emotional benefit. The emotional benefit, sometimes it's said directly, or sometimes it can be a bit layered. So let's look at an example. If I say, my brand promise is, I create delicious pastries for all types of diets. So it means that whether you're vegan or you need a gluten-free diet or whatever, you will find some pastry from me, right? So what is my functional benefit? Is that you will find all kinds of dietary restrictions, addressed in my bakery. But the emotional benefit is more about, don't worry, indulge, stress-free, just relax, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about your health problems. Don't worry, just have fun, just eat and, feel good and do it stress-free, right? So that is the emotional benefit. So you kind of have to layer that into your brand promise. The other thing you can create in brand messaging is your brand tagline. So let's look at a few examples, like the Citibank, right? City never sleeps. Nike, just do it. So it can be very direct, like the tagline can be very benefits focused, like, world on time, we always deliver on time. Or it can be emotional and inspirational, like just do it, impossible is nothing, you're worth it, etc. So you can create a tagline, but for a small business, it's not so essential. It's usually the big businesses who have it. And then it's your entire brand story. So for example, when you have an About Us page on your website, then that's where you put your entire brand story of how you started, what do you do, what do you achieve, plan to do, so your mission, vision, purpose, all of it, and what you believe in, and how you run your business, and how the process works to interact with you, and a lot of FAQs. So that's the entire brand story. So all of these kind of messaging is very important to, for your customers to understand, for your audience to understand you repeatedly, right? Some other brand messaging are like your social media templates, like your social media content, your website content, your regular blog posts. So all of these fall under your brand messaging, but a lot of this is your marketing messaging as well, which is a little different topic. Your core brand messaging is still your brand promise and essentially a brand tagline if you need it, and the full brand story of the entire thing that your brand stands for, your differentiation, your positioning statement, and how you help people. So that is how you create the entire brand story in these 3 steps. Hope this was helpful. Again, remember, you can always download the brand story guide to get this in detail. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, meet you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, see you soon.